coming to you from Plymouth, and I'm actually stood outside of one of my HMOs that I've had for donkey's years now, probably about 15 years, that I bought whilst in the army. And I just wanted to do a quick share because I wasn't supposed to be in Plymouth today. I was supposed to be in Easton, just outside of Stamford, which is where I live now. And so why am I in Plymouth, and what's the point in this video? Why am I sharing this with you? Well, I got a call yesterday. Now, yesterday, as most of us will know, yesterday is Remembrance Day, Armistice Day, the 11th of November, and that is the date that I left the army. Why is that the date I left the army? Because I handed in my notice to leave the army, and I had to serve 1 year after handing in my notice, and then I was able, because of property, to leave the army on the 11th of November 2011 without the need to get a job. And ever since then, I have been free. Property has literally set me free. So what else happened yesterday? By the way, I'm also buying a hotel on the street that I am currently on. It's currently going through. I've got buy-to-lets in Plymouth, buying a hotel in Plymouth, HMOs in Plymouth, serviced accommodation in Plymouth. I don't live in Plymouth. I live 5 hours away by car. I've got property all over the UK now, and I don't live in the cities where I have property because of systems and leverage and outsourcing. That's what gives me freedom. Now, yesterday I got a call to say that my uncle was gravely ill and he might not last, he might not make it. And guess what? I was able to jump in the car and go and be with him, and he passed away last night. And I was able to be with my mum and my cousins, my uncle's kids, by his bedside when he passed. And obviously, as you can imagine, my mum was pretty upset, but I was able to take her home. She lives up on the moors on Dartmoor, and late at night, at her age, at 70 years old, that wouldn't have been a nice drive for her in the winter on the moors, and she doesn't not good at driving at night anyway. So I was able to drive her home, and I'm going to now stay in Plymouth to be with my family and help as much as I can help. Now, some people will say, yeah, but you do property training, Kev, you deliver talks, etc. Do you know what? If I need to be with my family, I'll be with my family. I'm not getting the sack. Another reason why I'm not getting the sack from delivering property training and talks, etc., is because if I couldn't do it, I've got a team who could. I've got redundancy, I've got people that can step up to the plate and deliver a talk if I had to be somewhere else. And do you know what that is? That's freedom. Property has given me my life back. I used to exchange time for money, or you could call it exchanging life for money, and at times risking life for money. And I was able to stop doing that because of property. I was able to leave the army on 11/11/11 without the need to get a job. So this share is about this. When things like this happen, you realise just how precious life is, and a lot of people don't get to live it. People exchange time for money in a job, hoping to be able to retire in comfort for the rest of their days. And let's face it, very, very, very often that doesn't happen. And Remembrance Day reminds us that people gave their lives so that we could live in freedom. And we owe it to these people. We owe it to the people that gave their lives so that we could live in freedom. To live the best life that we can and not squander it and make the most of it. Because you're going to waste that opportunity if you continue in a job exchanging time for money. And please don't think, do you know what, I'm just going to work as hard as I possibly can in this job and create my future, etc. Because all you're doing by working really, really hard in a job is just building those walls around yourself, because you just make yourself more and more indispensable to that job. And then if something happens and you want to drop everything and go and be with family and help family, your boss, unless it's, you know, very, very, very close relative, they're unlikely to be very sympathetic. And people that do it and think, oh sod it, I'm just going to go and be with my family, they'll end up losing their job. So I know that it is hard work replacing your job income and building up your income from property whilst in a job. Because when I handed in my notice on Remembrance Day 2010, I was a regimental sergeant major and I was the busiest I have ever been in the army. And I had to work really hard, okay, really hard during that year. But I had to leave the army without the need to get a job. I had to. I made it important enough to put in those hard yards and to do that hard work. And you know what? It is so worth it. It is so worth it. I'm stood by the War Memorial now in Plymouth. They gave their lives so that we could have freedom. And you owe it to yourself to make the most of this life that you have got. Over there, behind me, is the Royal Citadel. And it's the army camp that I served in 29 Commando Regiment, and I carried coffins of my friends who have not got the chance of freedom that we have got. You owe it to yourselves and you owe it to your families to give yourself freedom. And yes, it's hard work, but it's the best hard work you will ever do to create enough passive income from property so you don't have to rely on a job anymore. And when your friends and when your families need you, you can be there for them. I'm going to end this short video with a phrase that I quite like using these days. Your future needs you. Your future needs you to step up and not rely on a job anymore. Take care of it.